Hi guys, welcome back to Abby's Place, the place where no matter where you are, you can always feel a little at home. If you're listening from Spotify, welcome. If you're joining from Apple Music, welcome. And special welcome if you're joining from YouTube because y'all can see me right now. If you guys don't know, I'm filming these visually along with audibly. I have quite the cozy setup here. So if you want to turn on your TV and put me on your TV and we can hang out for a bit on YouTube, you're more than welcome to do that. You can pause it right now and go over to YouTube and we can hang out and you can see everything I'm doing right now. I've got my fireplace going. I've got some candles next to me, fresh flowers, thanks to my friend who was house sitting for me last week. Oh, so sweet. And then in front of me, my drink of choice today is none other than a sugar-free strawberry apricot Red Bull. ASMR. In this mug I got from Salt Lake City, and it has a rooster on it and it says early bird. And even though I have not been quite the early bird recently, that is the energy I'm manifesting, okay? I'm trying to go to bed earlier. And I said that about myself last night, and then I ended up staying up till 1:30 talking to a boy. So at least I'm self-aware, but goddamn, I tend to self-destruct sometimes. Oh my God. Anyway, running off of pure caffeine right now. So this will be an interesting episode. Hi guys, welcome to I'm Not in Greece. Remember how last week I yapped for like 20 minutes about me going to Greece and how excited I was and how a boy might come with me and all this stuff? Yeah, well, guess what? Raise your hand if you lost your passport. If you guys aren't watching, I'm raising my hand right now. So, funny story. Basically, let's rewind. Let's rewind to 2 weeks ago when I get an email from a company saying, hey, do you want to go to Greece for free and we'll pay you? And I said yes. And when we confirmed the trip, I was in Salt Lake City. So I couldn't really get any stuff together yet because I was gone, but I knew where my passport was, or so I thought. I thought my passport was in the glove compartment of my van. So this whole time I'm in Salt Lake City, we're confirming flights, we're booking reservations, I buy travel insurance, I confirm my parking at the airport. Everything is like getting together, right? I'm going on this trip. I ended up having to, like my plus ones both couldn't go. Option number one, his passport was expired. Option number two, she's going to a wedding. So I was just planning on going on this trip alone. But I was fine with that because I was going to meet some really cool people on it and the company was sick. So I get home and I'm packing my stuff and I create my little to-do list because my ADHD brain needs a list for fucking everything. So I'm creating my to-do list. First up is buy travel insurance. I get that done. Second, book my parking at the airport. I get that done. Find a house sitter. Get that done. Everything's ready to go, right? And I'm leaving in 2 days. Fourth on the list, which probably should have been number one, is go get my passport. Notice how I said go get my passport because I didn't think I would have to find it. Well, then I go into my van and I look in my glove compartment and guess what's not there? My passport. I end up taking apart my entire glove compartment and looking for it. It is nowhere to be found. Okay, maybe I put it in my Forerunner. So I go to my Forerunner. It's not there. I proceed to spend the next probably 48 hours straight looking for this passport. That night, I tore my entire house apart, which had just been cleaned. I'm looking in every cabinet, every drawer. I checked under my fridge. I checked in every bag, every coat pocket, every suitcase, every backpack. I was causing chaos in my house looking for this passport. It's finally like 2 a.m. I'm like, I have to go to bed. I have to go to bed and I have to pick this up in the morning, but I will find it tomorrow. There has to be places I haven't checked yet. So the next day, my friend Bree texts me, who was going to house sit for me, and she's like, hey, is there anything I can do to help? Do you want me to come look with you? And I was like, you know what? An extra pair of eyes never hurts. So her and I proceed to spend the entire day tearing apart my house, my van, my car, everything, everywhere, looking for this passport. Passport's nowhere to be found. And at one point, we're like, okay, let's go take a break. We'll go get lunch. We'll come back later, and we'll do a second round where we literally just sweep every room in my house. When I tell you guys, I have looked at every item I own in the last week. Like, I have seen everything. I have been everywhere. I went as far as pulling all of the drawer slides out of my van to see if maybe somehow I'd put it in a drawer and it fell behind and it was just hiding back there. No, it wasn't. I unscrewed the floor of my van to look under it to see if maybe when I replaced my van's battery, my passport fell down there. I don't know. I checked everywhere. And so at this point, flash forward to that night, it's like 10 p.m. Well, okay, I guess before this. Before this, I texted my manager around midday and I said, SOS, can't find my passport, code red. I don't think I'm going to be able to go on the trip. My manager, God bless her heart, she is the kindest person ever. I love her. And she was like, girl, this happens to all of us. Like, you're human. You make mistakes. Don't be too hard on yourself. Let me talk to the company and see what I can do. I was like, I want to reach out to the company personally and apologize for this because I feel horrible because this company went out of their way to make this happen for me. They had already booked my flight. They were going to pay me to do this. I was really excited. They were really excited. It felt like a really perfect fit, and it was a company that I would be really, really stoked to work with in the future. So I was really excited to get this partnership going because it was just a really, really cool opportunity. And I had already signed the contract and everything. So I was like locked into this. So I was really, really anxious about it, and mostly anxious of how they were going to perceive me because I was so afraid they were going to be like, this fucking bitch lost her passport and didn't tell us and didn't think to look for it before confirming the flight, you know, which that is on me. I should not have lost my passport for sure. But what are you going to do, you know? So I emailed them and I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I made an oopsie and I feel horrible about it. I'm really, really sorry if this puts you out. If you want to work with me in the future, I will discount my rate so heavily for you. Also, if I can do any kind of remote advertising for you guys without being in Greece, let me know and I'm happy to do literally anything. I feel terrible and I want to make this up to you in some way because this is so last minute. And in my defense too, the trip was insanely last minute. Like anyone, you know, being down to go to Greece within a 2-week period it's going to be chaotic for anyone, you know? And so shit's going to happen. So in my defense, I didn't have much time to prepare, but in their defense, they were very professional about it. So they emailed back and, you know, they were reasonably upset, but they were very understanding. And we're going to work something out. But in this, I think I am very much a control freak in a lot of ways. And when I don't have control, I freak out and it gives me a lot of anxiety. And the lack of control in this that I was struggling with wasn't my control over not having my passport, but it was the lack of control over how they were going to perceive me after this. I hate coming across as unprofessional, and I hate coming across as like ditzy or stupid. Like I think in general, in my life, I have always been complimented on my looks. That's something I feel pretty confident in. I've always been like, quote unquote, pretty, and conventionally attractive. That's just, you know, that's just a part of me, right? If you don't think that, that's fine. But, but I tend to get complimented on my looks a lot, right? I don't receive a lot of compliments on my intellect or my heart or how I speak or my intelligence. And that's something I struggle with. So growing up, I've always had confidence in my looks and thought that was the most valuable thing about me. But I've always been quite insecure over my brain, over not feeling smart enough, not feeling intellectual enough, not feeling capable enough, because that's something that wasn't really praised. So I lack a lot of confidence in that, and then it makes me insecure. And so in this, I was really afraid that they were going to look at me and say, this girl's fucking stupid. And she doesn't prepare and she doesn't plan properly and she is careless and clueless and all of these things that they're probably not thinking, but that I'm thinking about myself. So I'm terrified of how they're going to perceive me, and I am kind of anxious that I can't control that, right? There's nothing I can say or do in this situation that's going to make them perceive me better. At some point, I just have to be like, they might not like me anymore. And that's kind of the truth with anything. You really can never control how people perceive you. But in this situation in particular, I was terrified of it. And luckily, they were very understanding. But it kind of brought up a lot of this stuff that I haven't thought about in a while, but just like how much I am a control freak. And it kind of made me realize that, like, I've grown a lot in this way. But what I want to talk about in this episode is something that I've been working on and something that I've realized of your need to have control is actually controlling you. And I'm going to repeat that. Your need to have control is actually controlling you. And I think as humans, this is a fatal flaw. Not a flaw, but it's a survival instinct. As humans, we are always looking for threats. It's programmed into our brain. Look for the threat so that you can expect it so that you survive. When we were cavemen, you're always looking to see is a wolf going to come eat me right now? Like, you're always on the hunt for threats, because if you see the threat and you recognize it, then it can't hurt you. You can be aware of it. You can escape it, right? So I think as humans, we are always looking for something to worry about, and we're always trying to have control over it. If I can control everything, then nothing will hurt me. And newsflash, it doesn't work like that. It never has and it never will. And your need to have that control is actually what is causing the harm, what is controlling you, what is causing the anxiety is that need for control, not the lack of the control, but the need to have it. Because as soon as you realize that you don't have control over everything and you can accept letting go of that control, then you're free. Because nothing can hurt you if you are not particularly invested in the outcome of everything, because you can't control it. So one thing that always comes to mind when I struggle with these controlling things, and I'm not religious anymore. I kind of want to do a episode on my religious standpoint, but I was growing up, I was raised not knowing who God was, kind of atheist. My parents were both not religious. And then when I was in high school, I kind of got into the Young Life crowd, if you know, you know, where I was religious because it was popular. I was a Christian girly. I wore a cross on my neck because it was popular. Really wanted to be baptized because all my friends were doing it, but I don't know if I actually believed in it. But it did bring me a lot of peace, and I think that's something religion does. And so even though I don't believe in a Judeo-Christian God anymore, personally, if you do, that is hats off to you. I think religion and faith is a beautiful thing. Just personally, that is not part of my journey right now. But growing up, my grandma always had a sign or a picture on her wall of the Serenity Prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that is something that, even though I'm not religious anymore, I repeat to myself constantly, because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Basically, God, help me not be so fucking controlling all the time, because in the end, we don't have control. And so in the last episode, I talked a little bit about my phobia. If you don't know, I have had emetophobia for a long time, and I actually got a really sweet message after this that I'm just remembering on Instagram of this girl reaching out and saying, I have had this phobia for so long and nobody gets it, and listening to your episode really changed the game for me. So that was very, very comforting, because it is a very niche thing. Emetophobia, the fear of throwing up, is not incredibly common, but it is one of the hardest phobias to cure, because it's a physical phobia, and it's something that it's not like a fear of spiders where you see a spider and you can just run away from it or squish it or, call someone to take care of it and exit the situation. The fear of throwing up is it's inevitable. It's going to happen eventually. Someone around me could throw up at any moment. I could get sick, it happens, and it's part of your own body. So it's like being afraid of your own body, and you can't escape it. So emetophobia has ruled my life for a long time. And for a long time, I really thought that this was formed from just pure trauma, right? My sister, which we talked about in the last episode a little bit, my sister passed away from bulimia. She was extremely bulimic, and I don't want to go into too many details because it is, a personal side of my life and my family's life. But it is, a big part of who I am and my journey. So she was severely bulimic, and she ended up dying from it when she was 17 and I was 5. So we had a big age difference. So I don't remember a lot of it, but what I do remember and what is ingrained in my brain is my sister died because she was throwing up. So throwing up means dying. That's what my 5-year-old brain latched onto. For a long time, I thought that was it, that it was just a trauma response, and that it was an immediate response of that viewpoint that had been set in my brain at a young age. But as I'm reflecting on it, I know that now it stems from control. Like whenever I'm feeling out of control in my life, my phobia gets worse. Whenever I'm feeling like there are a lot of things happening outwardly that I can't fix and I can't have a grasp on, my phobia goes fucking crazy. And it is so fascinating to watch at some points. And it's not only my phobia. This happens in a lot of forms. And I've never really talked about this on any social media platform, but I have had an on and off eating disorder for my entire life. It has gone from anorexia to this thing called AFRID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, I think is the full name for it. And I've always just had a really, really tough relationship with food because it's a control thing. It's not like me trying to be skinny or me trying to lose weight. It's almost always about control. And this shows up in my relationships too, where if I feel out of control in some aspect of my life, I'll try to control every single one of my relationships, whether that's friendships or intimate romantic relationships or whatever. I will have such a tight grasp on them that it's insanely suffocating for the other person, and I realize that. But it's almost as if like having a tight grasp on these things will make sure that nothing bad will happen. If I can control these things that I can directly influence, then at least I have that. Even if everything else is going wrong in my life, at least I can control these things, you know? So like when my mom got cancer, my relationship started failing and my parents got divorced, my phobia got so bad, especially when I moved to Europe. It got horrible. And what this looked like was I would only eat certain foods that I knew wouldn't make me sick. They were my safe foods. And my AFRID started to get really, really bad at this point because I just stopped eating basically because every food terrified me and I couldn't control it. And I would never eat what somebody else cooked for me. And I hated eating out at restaurants because, what if the person cooking it was sick, or what if, I got food poisoning, all this stuff. And I would convince myself that anything I ate would make me sick. I wouldn't eat sugar because I was afraid that sugar would, for some reason, upset my stomach. It was horrible. There was this one scenario in Spain where I was in Spain and it was New Year's, and we were staying with some friends there that lived in Spain and their family, and we were spending New Year's with their family, and it was really, really special. They cooked this amazing dinner for all of us. It was a lot of like seafood and meats and dishes that I had never tried. And I remember sitting at the dinner table and looking at my now ex-boyfriend, and he was kind of looking at me and like making sure I was good because this was very scary for me. I was very afraid of seafood, and not just seafood, but stuff other people had cooked for me. So I'm sitting there and I am like full on mid panic attack, but hiding it from everybody. And I'm shaking and I just can't, I'm freaking out over eating this food. And looking back, I just realized how much this has ruined so many things in my life. Like that it's taken me out of the moment and put me in this state of fear, this control. Like it quite literally tore apart every aspect of my life that was supposed to be a fun time. I had a really, really hard time not thinking about it. It was 24/7 on my mind. And it was because I didn't have any control in my other aspects of life. When I was living in Europe, everything was new all the time. Everything was changing, and I felt so out of my element. And so I latched onto this, and I lost a lot of weight. If you look back at my old videos, your girl was emaciated. And sometimes I get comments on it, which is just fucking weird. Okay, never comment on someone's weight online ever. That's so weird of people to do. But sometimes I get comments of like, wow, you've gained weight, or like, wow, you look so different. You don't look like you used to, all this stuff. And I'm very, very healthy now. I'm so proud of myself. I'm literally about to run a half marathon in a few days. Oh God. But I think our view of health is so faulty because in these videos where I was so skinny and so emaciated, what you didn't see was me not being able to eat because I was terrified of food, and me crying and having panic attacks 3 times a day. and me having bruises all over my chest because I would like tap my chest to mitigate my anxiety. So my chest was constantly bruised. I trained my dog as a service dog to help me with my anxiety. Like it was a full on thing. So that's what you don't see. And I'm a lot healthier now, and it shows. Like I feel better. But in this time, even though I was like so skinny and so afraid of food and not eating and like lost weight, I still hated myself. I still didn't like my reflection. I didn't like myself. It didn't change honestly, I didn't like myself way more than I do now. Like I like myself now for sure. But at that point I had a very negative perception of myself. I was quite literally withering away, and it still wasn't enough because I didn't have control. And what I really needed to do was heal. And I wrote a journal entry that I came across the other day that I would love to read. And it's a bit dramatic, fair warning. It's a bit crazy, but it's a letter I wrote to my control. It's a letter I wrote to my phobia specifically, and how much I hated this fucking phobia because it ruled my life, but I never thought I would get over it. I never thought I would be in a place where I wouldn't be thinking about it 24/7. I never thought I would be able to get help and heal. And I never thought I would be independent because of it. My now ex-boyfriend, he was such a what's the word for it? He was like my crutches, you know? He was what I relied on when I was hurting like this. And I never thought I'd be able to be on my own because of that. So I wrote this journal entry, and I didn't even date it. I don't know when I wrote this. I think it was back in maybe 2022, I think, maybe when I was living in Europe, and I was just so done with living my life like this. And this is what I wrote. And it says, to control. You grew in me when nothing else would. You invited yourself in with a devilish smile and took root in my chest. Spreading your roots so deep down, you grew through my feet and planted me in the ground, unable to move, unable to grow, stuck. You are my one constant, something I cling to. You keep me steady when the storm comes, but it is because of you that I cannot move and I have to stay here. The outside of me slowly withering away, dead leaves falling all around me. I'm dying, yet you refuse to waver. How will I ever get where I long to go with you still here? And if I get rid of you, who will I turn to when the storm comes? I hate you. You've taken my spirit. You've exiled my loved ones, and I love you. You held me as a small girl and said, there, honey, you still have me. You are my closest friend and my worst enemy. And I fear that if I try to rip you out, kill you for good, that I will not survive it. But maybe that is the point, to kill you and grow myself again. Okay, Abby. Okay, girl, go off. Damn. Okay, 21-year-old. If there's one thing about me, I'm going to be dramatic about anything and everything, okay? If there's one thing about me, I'm going to over-dramatize my life to a T. And I always have, and I always will, and I own that. If there's one thing about me, I'm going to try to be poetic when I don't know how. But I read that, and I was like, holy fuck. I did that. Like, I really thought that's exactly where my headspace was at. I thought that if I didn't have the phobia, if I didn't have this control, then it would kill me. I thought that I would never be able to not have this. And looking back, I wish I could give her a hug because goddamn girl was going through it. But now, like the other day, Archie decided to eat a bunch of grass and throw up in the yard. And when he was throwing up, I was like, oh, that's gross. And my friend Bree was with me, and she's watching this whole thing. I was like, that's nasty, and I didn't look at it. I was like, that's disgusting. But then after he threw up, I was like, God, I should probably go look at it to make sure he didn't, like, throw up anything weird or, like, he didn't eat anything weird, you know? And I literally walked over there, looked at it, and was just fine. Past me would have not gone in my yard for months, okay? Past me would have been having a full-on panic attack and crying and sobbing in Bree's arms, okay? So I've grown, and I ripped that control right out of my chest. I ripped that phobia out, and I still struggle with it for sure. I still am very, very scared of the possibility of myself getting sick, but it's better, and that's growth, and I'm proud of that. And things I did to heal this, I think most of it is confidence building. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You have to have exposure to your fears and these things that you want to control and realize you can't control them in order to get over them. So to heal this, I adopted what I like to call the I don't give a fuck mentality, okay? This is my form of CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which I have been to quite a bit. And I talked about that in the last episode too, I went more into my phobia on the last episode and how I kind of got over that. But I went to a lot of CBT. And cognitive behavioral therapy is basically recognizing your thoughts as irrational when they are and negating them. So reprogramming your brain. And in my head, how I did this is these thoughts would come up of, oh my God, I don't have control over this. I can't control how this person perceives me. I can't control how, if I get sick or not. I can't control if somebody else gets sick or not. I can't control this. I can't control this. I'm scared. And going, oh, wait, I don't give a fuck. wait, wait. Oh, wait, I just don't fucking care. I don't give a fuck. Okay, they want to perceive me like that? Cool, not my problem. Okay, somebody gets sick around me. What's the worst that can happen? I don't give a fuck. It's fine. My dog gets sick, whatever. I get sick, you know what? I'll get over it, whatever. Kind of adopting this mentality of like, let it go. Girl, let it go. Stop giving a fuck. Like, stop. It's fine. You're gonna be fine, okay? And I still struggle with this. I do, okay? Especially in relationships. I have so much fear around relationships and people leaving. Abandonment issues, check. And I have to remind myself of this constantly. Oh, this person wants to leave. This person doesn't like me. You know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to keep doing me. And controlling what you can control. So I made a list, all right? Made a list of things that you can't control, that I can't control, nobody can control, things that you gotta let go of and you gotta not give a fuck about. And not to say it's not okay to care. You can still care about stuff and care about the outcome, but you can care about it without being attached to it and attaching yourself to it. And this is kind of turning into like a therapy talk. I don't want you guys to think I'm like your therapist or like a therapist in general. I'm a 23-year-old girl. This podcast in general has just been honestly a good way for me to get my thoughts out and maybe to relate to some people. But I never want you to think that I'm like standing on a pedestal and preaching to you and, you know, being a know-it-all. Like, frankly, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. But this is what I'm learning. And it's helpful to talk about. You know, they say the best way to learn is to teach. And so if me being up here talking in my little microphone in my house is helping me learn something and remember it, and it's helping you learn something and remember it, then that's a win. So I made a list. Here are things you can't control. Number 1, what people say about you. This is a hard one because I think there is a very scary thing that happens when you realize you cannot control the narrative that is said about you. You cannot control what your friends say. You can't control what people say when you're not around. And you can't control their perception of you. People are going to talk about you. People are going to hate you. People are not going to like you. You can't control that. Most of the time, it's not about you. Most of the time, it's about them. And I have a problem with this, especially being a social media presence. When I have a comment section that turns nasty, and trust me, they turn nasty real quick, and people start coming for you. People get horrible on social media. And there have been times when there was this one time, there was an entire Twitter thread that went viral about me. I don't know if it's still up, it might be. And I had posted this video about how I was leaving Europe and my boyfriend was staying there and I was going home to try to find myself again. I was going home to get a grasp on my mental health. And it was a very honest video and I felt really good about sharing it. Somebody posted it on Twitter and it got I think 20,000 retweets. And the narrative that they were saying about me was, this girl is evil and selfish and she's leaving her poor boyfriend in Europe. How manipulative and selfish of her. What a bitch, you know? And they were calling me nasty names. I got people sending me messages saying you are the scum of the earth. You are terrible. And it is hard to not hop in there, get on my keyboard, and start defending myself. Because in reality, Nothing I say is going to change their perception of me. They are speaking from their own insecurities right there. Nothing they were saying was true, but they didn't deserve the truth anyway. Like, these are strange people who've never met me before. And I did for a couple minutes hop in there and start, responding to people and trying to defend myself. And then it got really, really messy real quick. And I was like, fuck this. I just deleted the app. It's like, I don't need this in my life. And that's happened a million times, right? I've had Reddit threads about me. I have had TikTok videos made about me. I've had drama accounts make videos about me. And I'm like a relatively small influencer. So bigger influencers have it much, like to a bigger extent. But I can't control that. I can't control the narrative. And that's hard. It's hard to accept that like these people are not going to like me. Not everyone's going to like you. And one of my favorite poets, coziest, says, there's this one quote, and I'm not going to quote it perfectly because this is by memory, but I've listened to it a million times, and it's in his poem, How to Be a Person. It's on Spotify. You can look it up. The poem goes like this. Do not fear being hated, but be cautious towards those inhabited by hate. You will be hated. So people are not going to like you regardless, but be cautious towards those who don't like you because you're not going to be liked. And you can't control that. So, number one, what people say about you and what people think about you, you can't control. Number two, a lot of the times, you can't control your body in a lot of ways. Some of us are going to get sick. Some of us are going to get cancer. Some of us are going to break bones. Like, shit happens, and it's scary. Some of us are going to throw up, oh, that's terrifying for me. That's going to happen at some point. And you can't control that. And that's hard. That's hard to realize, especially when your health is so important to you being a functional human. So a lot of times you can't control your body. People leaving. Number 3, people leaving. That's a hard one. You can't really control a lot of the time when people leave, because when people leave, a lot of the time it's not about you. And trying to hold on to them and control them further and trying to keep such a tight grasp on people doesn't make them not leave. In the end, you will never be able to make them stay if they're going to leave anyway. I tend to hold on to people with an iron grip. When I get in a relationship with someone, I am latched onto them and I'm so controlling, and I'm trying to work on it because nobody wants to be in a relationship with someone like that, right? Yeah. That's a fatal flaw of mine. But it's almost like, because it's not good for either of us, but it's almost like if I hold you close enough, you can't leave me. And all it ends up doing is just leaving a lot of fucking claw marks on them when they do go, and leaving me feeling hopeless because, well, I held on as tight as I could and they still left. So maybe next time I need to hold on tighter. No, girl, next time you need to not hold on so fucking tight and suffocate them, okay? If they're going to leave, they're going to leave. Let them. Okay, Mel Robbins, let them leave. And what I'm learning too is love is letting go of the outcome. Love is not being attached to how it ends or if it could end or all of that. Love is just letting that go and enjoying it regardless. Enjoying loving someone, okay? Let people have their free will. Let them leave if they want to, but love the best you can while you have them. And then let go. Now, here are some things you can control, because there are things in our life that we do have control over, fortunately, which is so cool. And these are things that you should try to control, because they'll make your life better. Number 1, how you speak about yourself and how you speak about others. If you've ever read the 4 Agreements, this is so important. If you haven't read the 4 Agreements, go read it. It is a wonderful book, and I think everyone should read it at least once. But in the 4 Agreements, it talks about being impeccable with your word. It is so important to talk about people in a kind way, even if you don't like them. I think that in today's cancel culture online, there's this mentality of if someone does me wrong, they fucking suck. They suck. Cancel them. They're awful. These are a terrible person, name calling and all this stuff and canceling them and block them and all this stuff, be so mad at them and they don't deserve anything and they're awful. Instead of just being honest. Instead of being honest and saying, oh, okay, this person really hurt me. I don't like that they did that, and I don't respect them now because of it. But I'm not gonna like sit here and shit talk them, because that's not good for either of us. Most of the time, it just leaves you feeling like a piece of shit because you just badmouth this person like crazy, even if maybe they didn't deserve it. And where does that leave you? Now you just feel awful, you know? So being impeccable with your word, speaking carefully about other people, speaking kindly to yourself, and being intentional with what you say is so important. Because what you say is what you become. What you say is what you like manifest for yourself. So if you're saying all the time, like, I hate myself, I'm the worst person ever, I don't know what I'm doing in life, blah, 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 that's what's going to happen. If you're constantly saying, oh, I'm so broke, I'm not making any money, I'm so lost, and just all these things that like only focusing on the negative parts of your life and speaking about them, then that's what you're going to focus on. That's what your energy is going to go towards, you know? But if you're constantly saying, wow, I feel like I have not a lot of direction in my life right now. How freeing is that? You know, looking at it from a different perspective. I'm feeling a little lost right now, but in that, I have so much opportunity. I have so many things I could be doing. Then your attention goes there. And like switching that mindset is so fucking cool. And instead of saying, I don't like my body for some, you know, like whether if you struggle with looking at your body in a negative sense, saying, I don't like my body. Instead switching that and saying, I'm so thankful for the things my body does for me. Practicing gratitude instead of practicing hatred, you know? So being impeccable with your word, number 1. Number 2, being honest and kind in any situation. I promise you guys, if you are honest and kind, regardless of the outcome of the situation, you'll be happy with how you handled it. Just practice those things. If you're always honest to yourself, always kind to yourself, and always honest with others and kind to others in any way, you're not going to regret anything. So kindness and honesty always first, and that's what I try to live by. Number 3, your sleep schedule. If you're not getting enough sleep, I hate to break it to you. It will really put a damper on the rest of your life. If you feel like your health is questionable or you're struggling mentally or whatever, I encourage you maybe take a look at your sleep schedule. I struggle with that. If I don't get enough sleep, guys, I have a shit day the next day. So I'm trying to control that because, like I said, I went to bed at 1:30 last night when I told myself I was going to go to bed at 10. But I'm just a girl, so I'm trying. Number 4, nourishing your body with good foods. Making sure that you're eating foods that make you feel good. It's always a good one. Number 5, your screen time. I personally have a screen time limit for myself. I have this app called Opal, and Monday through Friday, it sets a screen time limit on my Instagram and my TikTok so that I can't get on it from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if I do want to get on it, I have to take a break. So I can only take up to a 15-minute break, and then it locks it again. So I'm trying really hard to manage my screen time and to cut it down, because in today's digital day and age, screen time is very dangerous, and I don't think it's very healthy. So, and lastly, but number 5, the people you surround yourself with, you can control. And you should control. You should be picky. You should be very picky about everybody you surround yourself with, because, you know, that cliche saying, you are who you surround yourself with, is so true. Your friends that you're around is who you'll become inevitably. Like, I am a collection of everyone I've ever known, and that's really cool. But also, you got to be picky about it, because if I'm hanging out with people who I don't personally really respect or look up to, why am I hanging out with them? If I don't respect or look up to them, and I'm becoming them, then I'm not becoming a version of myself that I want to be, you know? So how you are treated, like, you can't control a lot of things people do, but in a way you can control how you're treated, because you can control what you put up with. You know, when people show you who they are, believe them, and you can control how you react to that. If someone says something to you that you don't like, you can't control what they're going to say, but you can control how you react, and if you stick around. And lastly, your choices. You can control your choices. Everything you choose is what you choose. And I'm going back to Shane Koizan on this, and I wrote down a quote from him that I love. that will always stick with me. And it's from the same poem, How to Be a Person. It's at the end of the poem. And he goes, quote, "Your choices belong to you so intimately that they will never leave you. They, unlike the changing nature of love or the failing machinery of our bodies, will never abandon you to time. Good or bad, they will stay always, an antique that shows the future who you were and what you stood for. Know that what you choose to stand for is what will inform you of what you chose to stand against. So stand. Let each foot crash land and plant them there firmly so that they may take root in your convictions and stand." So be intentional with your choices. Again, I feel like I'm being really preachy right now. This is just a fired up episode, you know? And I think in the next episode, I'm going to get like less preachy and more real, because I think in the next episode I am going to talk about my OnlyFans. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be more of like a my journey type of thing and less of a let's focus on you type of thing, you know? But I think this podcast has been a really cool way for me to cultivate this relationship with you guys, and to share a more authentic side of myself on the internet. And when I first started doing TikTok, this is what I did. I would sit there and do these little, I was 19 years old, and I would sit in front of the camera and do these little motivational talks for people, and they started going viral. And that's what I was known for at first, these talks, and then me eating spring rolls. Okay, if you've been following me since the spring roll days, thank you. If you look up Abigail Martin spring rolls on TikTok, you'll know what I'm talking about, because these videos went crazy viral all the time of me just sitting there eating spring rolls and giving motivational talks or just talking about my life. So this has been a thing, and this podcast is an extension of that, okay? We're back in the spring roll days. Maybe the next podcast I will be eating spring rolls with you guys. We'll do a mukbang, okay? That would actually be so fun. Let me know if that would actually be fun for you guys. But yeah, anyway, this podcast is just an extension of that, and I'm just so happy you're here, and I'm so happy we can hang out every Monday. This is so fun, and I love getting, also, if you enjoy this podcast, send me a message on Instagram telling me you enjoy it, because it really, really, really helps me stay motivated to do it. And just getting that feedback from you guys is immeasurable, in the sense that it really, really means a lot to me that you guys listen to this. So if you are listening and you like this, go send me a message either on my regular Instagram or on Abby's Place podcast. I will do my best to respond. But it really, really does mean the world to me that you guys are listening and that you guys find value in this, in whatever I can give you as a 23-year-old girl, you know? So I'll leave you with this, and then we're going to get into the next segment. This episode is kind of a long one, but whatever. I'll leave you with this. Accept what is, let go of what is not, and move forward with an open heart for what's to come. There are amazing things in front of you, and if you look for them, you'll find them. Let go of what you can't control. And I'm proud of you. Okay? You're doing great. Give yourself a pat on the back. Remember, don't lose sight of your accomplishments because you're focused on your ambition, like the last episode. Give yourself a pat on the back. Take a deep breath and be proud of yourself. You deserve it. You've gotten through so much, and you're here, and we're here together, and that's so fucking cool. So on to the next segment. Let's get into Dear Abby. Okay, if you don't know, we started this segment in the last episode. If you don't know, we started this segment in the last episode called Dear Abby, where I have a Google form that is linked in my bio and linked in the podcast that you can go to and write in whatever you are going through in life, and I will do my best to give advice on it. And disclaimer, again, I'm a 23-year-old girl. I don't have a ton of life experience, but I think having an extra input is helpful. So we're going to get into Dear Abby real quick. And I'm only going to do two for this episode, but they're a bit lengthy. So let's get into it. This person says, Dear Abby, my name is Shelby, and I've been a fan follower of yours for years. Thanks for being here, Shelby. Love you. I have a rather in-depth question. Growing up, I was raised in a very conservative Christian household. As a kid, my father drilled it into my head that being anything but the typical heterosexual was wrong and that you were going to hell. I'm not religious, so that part doesn't really matter to me. And he always said how much he would never accept gay people no matter who they are. As I got into my teens, I realized that I both like men and women. But I never really told anyone or acknowledged the fact because I was too scared of the consequences from my family, mainly my dad. I finally came out of the closet at the age of 21. Same. Well, actually, I think it was 19. My dad was in complete denial, saying that I was young and confused after a couple years, I finally told him it's who I was and it was never going to change. He still doesn't agree with it, but says that he will accept me because I'm his quote unquote baby girl. Even though he says that I still feel as, even though he says that, I still feel as if he is very disappointed in me for not turning out like he wanted me to. Even now at the age of 26, I'm stuck with the thought that my dad truly doesn't accept me for who I am. I love my family and would do anything for them, but at the same time, I want to be truly happy with who I am. Do you have any advice or tips on how I can try and do that? And I picked this question, hi Shelby, because I think it relates to the episode of controlling how people perceive you. And first of all, I want to say I'm proud of you. Coming out's really fucking scary, and it's really, because it's a big part of yourself. If you are in the LGBTQ plus community, you know that your sexuality is not something that you can just bury or sweep under the rug or pretend isn't there. It is a part of yourself that belongs to you and that you should be proud of and that you should accept, and that you should be able to own and share with people. And it's really scary to open up about something that is so personal and to have people maybe not accept it about you. It's terrifying. So I'm proud of you for even doing it. Good job. In this case, it's hard because I think one of the only things you can do is accept, kind of like I just talked about, and realize that your dad might never be completely accepting or a full-on like ally. Personally, I'm also bisexual, and while my parents know and accept me and love me, I know that they'll fully never understand it. And they might never embrace it. But they love me the best I can, and I know that. But yeah, I kind of got the same backlash when I came out too, of like, you're just confused. How do you even know that you like women? You'll grow up, like this is just a phase. And newsflash, it's not. I still love women. It's not a phase. And I think being in your 20s really makes you realize how much your parents are still learning just as much as you are, and how much they don't know, and how much they are still growing, and how much of children they are. Like seeing your parents' inner child is crazy. And I think in like the modern leftist progressive culture, there's a tendency to kind of cancel anyone who doesn't agree or understand. And like sometimes this is necessary, but family, it's different. You can't just cancel your family. You can't just disown your family, you know? So if I was in your shoes, I think the best thing you can do is like set a boundary here that you're not going to put up with him speaking negatively on your sexuality, that it hurts you, and that he should be careful about the way he talks about it with you, but also that you understand that it's going to take time for him to understand it, that there's no rush here. I don't expect you to fully understand me or fully empathize with me, but I do expect you to love me. And I do expect you to accept me. And go into this knowing that he still might not. There is still a possibility he might not accept you, and he might not fully embrace that side of you. And usually with time, he'll come around. Like with time, you know, that cliche phrase, time heals all wounds, or like time is a beautiful thing. With time, he will get more used to it, and it won't be as foreign to him because he'll be more familiar with it with you. But all you can do here is try to love and accept yourself without his approval. And that's hard, but you can grant that to yourself. And the rest is up to him. Like, you know who you are. You know, it sounds like you're very comfortable with your sexuality now. As long as you accept that about yourself, no one can take that away from you. His acceptance really, truly is probably not going to be as dramatic as you think it would be. But your acceptance can be. So I would just say, yeah, learn to be comfortable with it without the approval of everybody, because being queer is a magnificent and wonderful thing that you should be proud of. Even though there are many, many people in the world right now trying to rip that out of people. So I'm proud of you. Good job. Okay, next. This person says, Dear Abby, do I stay in my home state to be near family or move out west where I'd rather be? My husband and I are avid travelers, and the only thing keeping us in the Midwest is the fact that our entire family lives here. I want a relationship with my nieces and nephews and for my future kids to be able to grow up with their cousins, but the environment is nearly depressing most of the year. Right now, we've decided our community/family is worth staying for, but I have my doubts some days. This is a tough one, and I get it. The debate of like whether to stay or go. And I've been there before. When I was moving into my van, I was like, do I stay here in my hometown that I hate with people that I don't like and stay with my family because my mom is going through a health crisis right now? Or do I go? Because there's no time like the present, And I'm very thankful that my family was very supportive of my decision to leave, and they were very encouraging of it, and they said I should. But it was a really hard choice, so I get it. That's a tough spot to be in. I empathize with you. And if I was going to give you my personal advice, I would say go. I would say there's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be completely perfect circumstances. Nothing will ever perfectly align, but you can always come back. If you leave and you try it and you give it a year and you decide, I like this, but I do want to be closer to my family, then you can always go back. Nothing is permanent. You can always change. You can always make a change. But if you never take the first step, if you never try, then you'll never know. So you don't want to get 10 years down the road and be way more locked in with kids and in one place and have, a lot more roots put down and have not tried and not be able to anymore. So I would say go while you still can, because you know that you can create a beautiful life wherever you go, and that you can create community and family wherever you are, especially with your husband. Sounds like you guys travel a lot. So you already know that. And there's a lot of really cool things that happen when you take a risk. And you can always go visit. And also, your family can come visit you out west, and that's really fun. So if I was in your shoes, I would go. That's just me. I personally know a ton of people who live out west, that are from the Midwest, that have their families still over in the Midwest. And it could just end up being a really fun dynamic of, your family coming and visiting you and then you going and visiting them. But I would say take the risk while you still can. That's my advice. Okay. All right. That's it for Dear Abby for this episode. Thank you guys for writing in. If you want to be featured in a Dear Abby segment, you guys got to make it interesting. I get a lot of questions on there that are really good, but not in depth. So you guys got to tell me, send me some paragraphs. Google form is in my bio. Google form's linked. And maybe I'll answer your question in the next one. So moving on, I'm going to wrap up this episode because she's getting long. And we're going to end off on my personal favorites right now. Things that I've been obsessed with recently, starting off with songs. I've been listening to a lot of music recently, and I've been listening to a lot of happy music, and it's honestly been changing the game for me. I love sad music, but listening to happy music will change your life. Trust me. Not every song needs to be sad. Not every song really needs to make you reflect and feel everything. Sometimes happy music is medicine. So anyway, songs that I've been loving. The first one, I've listened to this on repeat all week, and I've been dancing to it, and it is just wonderful. It is kind of the lyrics are kind of sad, but it's an upbeat, fun song. And it's called All I Ever Asked by Rachel. I'm going to butcher her last name. I think it's Chinori. Oh, God. Rachel something. I'm so bad at that. But it's All I Ever Asked by Rachel something and Somber. I'm so sorry, Rachel, for butchering your last name. I don't know what it is, but you'll find it on Spotify if you look it up. Also, all of these are going to be in my playlist on Spotify called Podcast Tunes that is also linked in my bio. This song is so good. Next, this song I discovered today because one of my friends sent it to me, but it's called Los Angeles by The Midnight. And I'm so excited for it to be nighttime tonight and for me to drive around with my windows down to this song because it is a great driving around at night song. I'm obsessed with it so far, and I've only heard it a few times. He sent it to me 4 hours ago. I love this song. Thank you to my friend for sending that to me. Next is a very granola song. It's called Sugar in the Creek by Benego Fletcher. Wonderful song. It's very happy, very upbeat, very let's sell everything we own and move into the woods kind of thing. Let's go run up on a mountain and do mushrooms. That's the vibe of this song. I love it. And last but not least, I've been on a Peach Pit kick recently. I love Peach Pit, and I recently discovered their song Yasmina. And again, it's just a very happy, upbeat song. I was outside before I filmed this podcast just dancing around to it with my dog, and I love it. Yasmina by Peach Pit, so good. Again, these are all on my playlist on Spotify called Podcast Tunes, and you can go find it in my Instagram bio. Books. I have one book I want to share with you guys this week, which is by my friend Victoria. She just released her own debut poetry book. Hell yeah, Victoria. She also has a podcast called Soulgum. So if you guys want another podcast to listen to that is very, very, very valuable, Victoria does an amazing job and I look up to her a lot in a creative sense. Go listen to Soulgum. It is wonderful. But Victoria made this book called Make Believe. Victoria is a poet. If you don't know, you've probably seen her videos before. She's the yoga girl that does these crazy yoga poses while saying these beautiful poems. So she just released a poetry book and I have been very much enjoying this. I wanted to read a poem from it, just so you guys get a taste for it, and it kind of relates to what we talked about in this episode. But every poem in this book is fantastic, and I'm so proud to just call her a friend. She's wonderful, wonderful human. Oh my God. But this poem is called I Have Good News and Bad News. So I'm going to read it real quick, and then we're going to end the episode. It goes, if you aren't cool enough for them now, the $800 coat won't help. You can move to a cooler part of town. They still won't want to come over. Waiting to reply until tomorrow won't make them text you back sooner. You can learn how to say Kane, Connis, and Houston Street, and acai. I don't even know how to say that. They will find other reasons to judge you. When you work hard on your makeup for dinner, they'll ask, why are you so dressed up? If you aren't enough for them now, you never will be. But there are people who aren't daunted by the commute to your place, don't care how much your coat costs, won't bump you behind them when the street is too narrow for three, think you're beautiful when you're dressed to the nines and when you're dressed to the ones, won't be scared away by your dark past or your bad temper or your worst mistakes, let alone by 3 messages in a row. When you find the right people, and you will find them, you can have nothing and it will be plenty. I love her. Victoria, you're wonderful. Every poem in this is wonderful. So go pick this up. I think it's at most bookstores. You can also order it online. It's called Make Believe by Victoria Hutchins. Poems for Hoping Again. 10 out of 10. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope this is a good way to start your Monday. I hope it gives you some thoughts to chew on and digest. And by next Monday, it's going to be a little bit lighter of an episode. This one was a bit heavy, but thank you for being here and thanks for joining me and thanks for just like hanging out with me in this cozy corner of the internet that we've created together. So if you haven't, go follow the Instagram, Abby's Place Podcast, the TikTok, Abby's Place Podcast, which I need to start posting on. I only have like 1 video up, LOL. And go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Abby's Place Podcast. And if you really want to help a girl out, if you like this podcast, share it with a friend. Post it on your Instagram story and tag me. I will go through and like them. You know, we can be friends. But if you don't know, like podcasts, there's really no advertising page for them online. So the best way to share podcasts and to make them more popular is to share them with a friend or post about them and spread through word of mouth. So if you like this podcast, I would really appreciate if you did that. But if not, just thank you for joining. Thanks for being here. So yeah, that's it. I will see you next Monday. Love you. Bye.